Hello, I'm with the Fire Breathing Kittens podcast, and I'm going to show you how we edit our 5-person real play Dungeons & Dragons podcast. Step 1 is that we download this free program called Audacity. It's a free program that we use to edit the individual voices and export an MP3 sound file that we can then upload to the internet to host our podcast. So after you've downloaded Audacity, it'll open like this. It's got a lot of different buttons that can all be freely moved around. You can move these anywhere you want. They don't have a set place. You can put them like up there. You can put that one there. It doesn't really matter. These are all modules that can be moved based on where this moving grabber spot is. I'm very official. So the first thing you want to do is create a save path, file, save project as. And the reason why you want to save your project as is even if Audacity crashes, which can happen, all programs can crash, is that it'll dump all of the tracks that you were working on into this save path. And even if it crashes, your work won't be lost. So that's step 1, save your project. And that was just you're saving an empty project, are you sure message. Now, while I show you all the buttons on the top, I'm going to import these files because it's going to take a minute. These are the 5 individual voices from the podcast for this week. For part 1, we record in part 1 and part 2. Audacity sometimes, older computers can't really handle files longer than 2 hours very well, so we like to record in 2 parts. That way the editing doesn't get overwhelmed and just incredibly longer because of waiting for the computer's lag time. So 2 hours is about as long as my computer can handle, and I'm filming this in 2020. So in the future, computers might get faster in that 2 hour. I hope they get faster, and that 2 hour limit won't be a big deal. But for us, we like to keep them in 2 hour sound chunks or less. If you're recording an audiobook for ACX, they recommend 120 minutes as the longest, because again, it's just when it's too long, it gets infinitely longer to process. Because I don't understand computers very well, but it does. Okay, all right, so since this is going to take 20 seconds per track to import, I'll teach you some of these buttons. This is your pause, play, stop, record panel. You can use this panel to record sound, stop your recording, play it back, and pause it. To edit, you have to be in stopped mode, which is what we're in right now. This panel is all of the different cursors. The I-beam looking cursor lets you select an amount on the track, and this one lets you move them left and right. That's mostly the ones that we're going to be using today. This is the recording volume. If you're recording with a microphone, is it very loud or very quiet? If you reduce this blue dot all the way down to there, you won't be able to hear the microphone at all. So I've seen people use it between here and here. And other buttons. This Windows Wasapi and microphone, recording channel, and speakers is the setting for how Audacity is inputting sound. When you click this drop-down menu, a variety of microphones will appear, and you can choose your external or internal microphone. A common mistake is to not change this to the external microphone, and if you record using your internal microphone, so you want to use your external microphone for the best quality. This is your choice of mono or stereo recording channels. This is a mono channel right here. Stereo looks like there's 2 of them on one track. And then this is your output speakers. You can use, again, your USB speakers or your built-in speakers. It's up to you. Okay, so the track's finished importing, and it took about a minute or 2. It's going to take a different amount of time depending upon your computer speed. You can see that they look different just from looking at them. The DM is pretty compact, while this person ranges from all the way at the top to all the way at the bottom. This person has a bit more noise than this person. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to switch these from waveform to waveform decibels. What that's going to do is display the noise. And here's a good region here. So next we're going to zoom into a region. So there's, I used this I-beam cursor tool to select a track. You can see that when I just click, it places a vertical line on the track. That's different than this cursor, which you can use to move things left and right. To change their position in time relative to the other tracks. So I-beam cursor is the default cursor. So we're going to find an area that has an uninterrupted region of the lowest possible noise, which is that one. And then there's lots of different ways to zoom. This is a zoom in, zoom out, zoom to selection, and zoom to entire length. Fit project to width. So we're going to click on this one, which is going to zoom us. The rightmost panel here will be this, and the leftmost panel here will be this. So we're going to click that, and then this will fill our whole field of view. There we go. So now we've got a region of relatively consistent noise. We're going to select some of it and click Effect, Noise Reduction. Noise Reduction. Get Noise Profile. What this does is it learned, the computer takes this as 0. You're resetting its baseline. It's like calibration if you've ever calibrated an instrument to be at 0. Like a scale, if you're adjusting the dial, if no one's stepping on the scale, it shouldn't say 10 pounds, it should say 0 pounds. So sometimes you can adjust the analog dial on the scale so that when no one's stepping on it, it says 0. So this is basically the idea here, is that we're saying that this is 0, this is the lowest noise you're going to hear, and that noise can be removed. So if we were to do noise reduction, and I'm not even going to, just going to do it, I'll show you, you can remove that noise, and now it truly is 0, because we've told it this is 0. This line is flat. Okay, so now, you don't just want to go about reducing noise willy-nilly, because it turns out you can also reduce the talking. Now, you notice this part is louder or taller up and down. See, that's a person talking. So I'm going to set this on solo so that we can hear only this track, not all the other tracks. And you can hear...
I see my...
You can hear a voice. So if we were to test out our noise reduction, what we would want is that we would only reduce the background and not the player's voice. How we're going to test that is we're going to set this noise reduction sensitivity. I mean, I like these settings. You can use any settings you want. I'm going to set noise reduction decibels to 30 because, here, let me show you why. If you were listening to only this part, click play, see how it's around minus 48. So if we reduced it 30 decibels, 40 minus 30 would take it, so that would take it 8, that would take it another 8, so it's 10, 20-ish, 30, so that should reduce it down to 0. If the noise was around here and we reduced it by 30, it would not go all the way to 0, it would only go down to here. So that's why I chose 30. I hope my bad explanations are making sense. And what we're hoping to see is that if we click reduce, only the noise will go away and none of the voice. And the way to check that is to click on residue here. So let me show you what happens if I click residue when I'm on an area where no one is talking. Noise reduction, residue, preview. So it's playing sound right now, but it's not playing anything because there's nothing left. Okay. And we want to hear that same amount of nothing here. So effect, noise reduction, residue. If I did this wrong and I'm removing the player's voice, then we're going to hear sound here. But we're not, because I'm good at this. So what you're hearing right now is that I did not remove any of the player's voice when I selected the background. And the reduce setting, which is going to be, this is a preview of what is left. So this is what it's going to sound like if I click OK. You should hear the player's voice.
I see my my good friend Runt.
And it should be unchanged than if you click play here.
I see my my good friend Runt.
Now I'll show you what happens if I do this wrong. Let's say I tell the computer that this is background, get noise profile. That means anytime this person talks, what they should sound like normally is this.
While they're doing that, I'm going to...
And if you accidentally remove the person's voice...
While they're doing that, I'm going to poke through the various...
Oh gosh, I don't know if you can hear that. It's the most horrible mechanically sound. And now all of the voices in this track here.
While they're doing that, I'm going to poke through the...
So if you accidentally remove some of the voice, it will get removed in this residue channel. And the goal is not to do that. So anyway, now that I've completely lost where I was, I think this was a region of pretty low background. Effect, noise reduction, get noise profile, and hopefully we should hear, oh gosh, effect, noise reduction, reduce, preview.
While they're doing that, I'm going to poke through the various oohs.
A lovely voice. I'm going to turn this volume up a little bit so that you guys can for sure hear this.
While they're doing that, I'm going to poke through the various oohs piles.
Yep, that sounds great. So I'm going to select this whole track and noise reduction, reduce. Again, 10 is fine. This frequency should be set on 0. If it's set on anything greater than 0, it will reduce the person's voice. Sometimes you have to, though, to get really bad background out. Okay, so we're going to click OK, and that's going to take about a minute to do. And while that's going, most of editing is just waiting, unfortunately, if you don't have the best computer. So I'll discuss some other things. So just to review what we just learned, you're going to select a region of very low background and tell the computer that that's 0 by going to Effect, Noise Reduction, Get Noise Profile. You're then going to check that that is indeed 0 by selecting a region of speaker volume where they were talking and click the preview on the reduce option to make sure that they don't sound any different, and then check the residue to make sure that you didn't get any voice in the residue channel. Yay, we did that. And now we're going to set that back to waveform, and it looks totally the same, except that now it has about 30 decibels less background. Much, much cleaner track. So that's what we do for all of these. So this will zoom to track. And on my DM here, it has a very good microphone. And I don't know if she cleans it before she sends it to me, but it's always beautiful, and I don't need to reduce noise on this one. You can see it's already 0, even on decibel settings. So next up is this track. Now this one usually has pretty inconsistent noise. Yep. So the noise is higher here than it is there, and the noise is higher here than it is there. So for this track, unfortunately, the right thing to do, I can full screen this, Okay. Zoom 2. All right. So the right thing to do is to noise reduce this in chunks. So we would noise reduce this section, and we would noise reduce this section separately. But I have been doing this for a long time, and I've noticed that this person's voice in particular doesn't seem to suffer from the ill consequences of doing this rather cheap and dirty method of just going to the largest. There we go. That's a good region of high noise. You just got to be careful, because if there's too much of a difference between this large noise and small noise section, it'll show in the regions of player voice that are in this low noise section, because they're having all the high noise scrubbed from them. So sometimes it affects it, but you live, you learn. It turns out for this person, it's all good. So I'm going to go to this region, select some of this, Effect, Noise Reduction, Get Noise Profile. And again, how I check this is I'm going to check this on here. Okay, they weren't even talking then. Yeah, okay. So this region where she was talking, that's a control and scroll in with the mouse. So I'm going to check to make sure. So if any voice would suffer from this noise reduction that I just set it to, it would be this part right here. So I'm going to click on noise reduction. I'm going to click preview.
I got you, Kane.
Okay, she sounded pretty good. Let's check to make sure that none of the voices in the residue channel. It is a little bit, but it's not like all that much. So what I should hear there is completely nothing. Complete nothing. But what I do here is a little bit, but it's okay. It's okay. It doesn't really matter. It's not worth my time. Oh gosh, that's the wrong button. It's not worth my time to... Nah, that's fine. I'll do it a little bit less. That didn't affect anything at all. So basically you can play with these. Noise reduction in decibels is how much you're reducing it. The sensitivity, maybe if I did that, that didn't affect it at all. It's fine. So you could drive yourself crazy and play with this all day. Don't. So effect, noise reduction, reduce, everything, go. All right. Next is my own cough cough channel, and I'm recording this exact video that you're watching right now using the same microphone that I recorded this track with. So what's interesting is that you're listening to the microphone and you're going to be able to see what it actually looks like as a digital recording. So once this finishes, a lot of sound editing is waiting, I'm sorry. Once this finishes, you'll get to see what it looks like. It's good. Oh, by the way, if you have two computers, to have one computer set up to do this and the other computer to be able to do other things is useful. Okay, so the noise is gone. I'm just going to show you what that looks like. The noise is gone. Next up is my own track. Waveform decibels. Now, it looks very similar to this one, where it's got a pretty consistent, very low noise. I'm looking right now, I'm scanning it for a region that has minimal amount of spikes for any good length of time. I guess that one will do it. All right, so I'm going to zoom in there. I'm going to select this region here, I'm telling the computer that this is 0. So I'm going to Effect, Noise Reduction, get Noise Profile, and then I'm going to preview this part. Oh, I forgot to say, yeah, that's my voice. I don't like it. Okay. Yep. I'm sorry. This is a teaching video. I should show you. Don't fear your own voice and check your residue. Nothing. Absolute nothing. Okay, that's perfect. So we're going to reduce that noise. Be gone, noise. What else should I tell you? Okay, so the steps. You import the tracks. You reduce all their noise. You're going to compress the tracks, reduce clicks, and then amplify the tracks so that they're all the same volume, and set them to a side of the headset, left and right, and then we're going to export the MP3. I feel like there's more steps, but I'll show you. So reducing noise will be completed soon. And it's gone. All of those blue fuzzy things went away, and now there is much less noise. You can see much less noise. Okay, switching back to waveform. Next up is our last one. Oh gosh, that's a lot of noise. So again, if we do choose the high noise area, we run the risk of reducing the voice in the low noise area, but I am lazy and it mostly works. So as long as it's not that different, it's not a big deal. This region is 0. Let me double check. It should look like 0 here. Yep, that's 0. There's no talking there. This is what talking looks like. After a while, you start to be able to recognize individual words. Like I can call ums from just out here. Okay, noise reduction, get noise profile. Now we're going to check how speaking at the lowest noise sounds. I think that's actually, I remember he wasn't. All right.
Ooh.
Okay, he said the word "oh," so let's hear that. I didn't hear any talking, so I think we're good. We're going to reduce this entire track, so 30 or so decibels. It can be 48, it doesn't really matter. There's only 30 decibels of noise, so if you set the number to higher, it won't continue to reduce. It only goes down to minus 60 or so. So we can set it to minus 48. It's all good. Sensitivity around 10-ish. Sounded good. Click OK. Okay, so after we're done reducing the noise, the next thing that we're going to do is compress. Do you see how this one goes all the way to 100% here? If this were 50% and this is 0%, and these ones are around 30%. This one, again, maybe 40%, and this one's like 90%. For a person's ear to hear a sound go from 40% to 100% is just painful. It's like they can't hear this, or this is shouting in their ear, but they're not happy about either of those situations. Either they have the volume set so that this doesn't hurt their ear and they can't hear that, or they have the volume set so that they can hear this, and then this is like a sudden, painfully loud exclamation. So that's called the dynamic range where it's up and down for this far, and we want to shorten that dynamic range. We want to shorten the maximum difference between the two. I don't know if I'm using the right terms. Don't quote me. Okay, so what we're going to do is Control A, all the tracks. So let me just show you again. Control A on your keyboard, all the tracks. And then we're going to use these compressor settings, which I have found through trial and error. So here's the thing about this compressor. The goal of the compressor is to make, so I'll demonstrate here. You want to make the tall things the same height as the not as tall things. So I'll use this here, this part where we were talking about how this one is way too tall. So with your compressor settings, the goal is to have this tall thing not as tall, but not change these ones. So let me do that again. I'm going to zoom in so that you can see. So Control Z, that's how it looked like before. And then Control Y is redo. So I'm going to do Control Y. So if you see before the compressor, it was really tall, and this one was about this height. And after the compressor, these heights didn't change, and this height has changed. So you want to choose compressor settings that do not change the things that are around 50% and that only touch the shouting volume, voice volume that is up at 100% and bring it back down to 50%. So that's the ideal compressor setting. I think Audacity, Audacity has this setting. Audacity has a setting where it says make up gain for 0 decibels after compressing. And that is not what you want checked, because if you check that, it'll change these smaller things as well. So I use threshold -16 decibels, noise floor -40 decibels, ratio 6:1, attack time 0.2 seconds, and release time 1 second. Again, just trial and error, because the goal of this is to get your tall peaks down. So you click OK, and it's going to take you like a year. All right. In 2 minutes, we'll come back. So what we've done so far is we have imported all of the tracks into Audacity, a free sound editing software. We have removed the noise from the tracks that needed it. I lazily removed the noise uniformly from all of the tracks. Ideally, your goal is to not remove any of the voice qualities, so you could go in and individually remove the noise in segments. It's all good. And now we're compressing the tracks so that the tall peaks are approximately the same height as the small peaks. Then next we're going to remove clicks, which you'll notice the compressor does a mostly good job, but there's some things that it can't reduce, and it's like, I think this is a click. Maybe, I don't know, it looks kind of like a click. You can see that when people talk, they have like a curve to it, like, I don't know. It tends to like, it's wider, but a click sometimes is like this really narrow section of very high amplitude. Like this might be a click. I don't know. And this is probably talking because it goes on for a few seconds. So you'll see that after the compressor is done working, it's going to mostly reduce these peaks down to 50%, but fail on some of them that are very, very narrow. And if you go in with your iBeam selector tool, like this is probably on waveform decibels, which is why that looks like that. But like that's probably a click. Anyway, if you sample some of those sounds and play them back, you'll see that they are clicks, and that is why the compressor failed at them. So if you do click remover, that'll take those clicks away. And I do apologize for the long pause. I honestly don't think I'm going to edit this video. I'm just going to upload it. So you can skip ahead 40 seconds. I wish I could. What else should I tell you? Oh yeah, after we do the click remover, then we're going to amplify these tracks so that they're all the same volume. The reason we do that is because, again, a person's ear can't handle super loud and super quiet, so we want them all to be the same volume. That way you can hear all people, when they talk. Oh god, I hit my microphone. Okay. Ten seconds left. Most of sound editing is waiting for your computer. And this is actually not a bad computer. This is just... It was top of the line 3 years ago. Okay, it's done. And then this is graphics rendering. It's going to take a minute to like change the visual display. There we go. We got some visual display is changed. This is indeed on waveform. I've set it back to normal waveform. So now you see that none of the peaks go up to 100%. We're going to go full length here. And again, the poor computer is going to struggle for a second. Just give it a few seconds. But once you go full length, you'll see that there's probably going to be one or two peaks that are, maybe not. This is probably a click right there. Let's see, visually scanning for any other clicks. Okay, but let me play this one for you. I think this is a click. Click play.
Rocks have feelings too.
It was. So that's what a click sounds like. Just play it a few times so you can hate it as much as I do. I hate that sound. So, ideally, what would happen here is that we would have these completely gone, destroyed, and that's Control L. Sorry, I should describe when I'm using keyboard shortcuts. That's this button here, the silence audio selection, or Control L. Control L, completely gone. But you can't actually spend your whole life going and finding each and every click in here. I visually found one, but I bet that's another one. That's probably one. So one thing that you can do is Control A, Effect, Click Remover. And this one does a pretty good job. I just use the default settings. I don't know how it works. And I'm like, please remove the clicks. They're terrible. I hate them. Thank you. And it will. It's going to take about 2 minutes, but it will remove the clicks. Oof, 2 minutes of waiting. I guess I'll describe what we've done so far. So we imported the files into Audacity. We removed their backgrounds. We compressed them. We are removing clicks. Next, we're going to amplify them, which will make them all the same volume. Oh yeah, I forgot. And then we're going to, after amplifying, truncate silences, and then set them to a earphone thing on a speaker, left and right speaker. What I like to do, so we play Dungeons and Dragons. So there's a dungeon master, and this person is going to talk the most. It's just going to happen. So the person who's talking the most, sometimes with 5 people, it helps to put them on the middle track, exactly balanced. And then this person is a male, and this person is a female, this person's a female, and this person's a male. So it helps to put one male and one female on each ear, because it's difficult for new listeners to tell ears apart. So this male and this female being on the left ear, and this female and this male being on the right ear, will help the listener to keep them distinct and separate in their minds. So but you don't want to put 100% of the volume onto an ear, because some people's speakers or earbuds, headphones, they could be broken. So we're going to want to set it up to 70% of the volume. And that's going to be one of the last things we do, because you actually end up changing some stuff. So we're going to truncate silence first, just in case. All right, and this has 30 more seconds. You're getting a real-time training in this video. It does take a while. It helps to have 2 computers, and then you can do 2 things at once. Anyway, so ears, you want to separate by similarity. You want to put 2 similar people on opposing ears. You want to put the person who talks the most, maybe center balanced, consider that, because then they'll sound different than the other people, and it's just a good artistic effect to do. Oh yay, my clicks are gone. Now again, it's graphics processing, so it's dangerous to click for the next few seconds. Let's just click save. Save. Okay, so we've now theoretically removed clicks. Let's zoom to project, which is what this one is. It actually takes less time than individually zooming them. Breaking my chair. All right. And once this is fully zoomed out, now you can see that we've got some differences in ending time here. That's because I remember that I started recording a little bit late. I think I was coughing up a storm, and then I just deleted that. So this is the left-right adjustment selector cursor thing. and you can adjust these tracks to align with one another. The reason why you would want to do this is because you've got 5 people. So here, let's amplify these tracks, align them, and truncate silence. So we're going to individually amplify these. I'm going to go with 90% of the maximum recommendation or so, maybe like 70 to 90%, depending on if you know their microphone has a lot of bass. Bass carries over more than treble, so they'll sound louder even though they're the same volume. I don't know why. So for this person, it recommended 6.72 as its max amplitude. I'm going to amplify this by 6. She has more treble. Just waiting, amplifying the tracks. Now you can see that amplification takes this around 40%, 50%-ish peak and amplifies it. If you use the default maximum amplification, it'll amplify one peak all the way to about 100%, leaving some peaks at 50%. Again, this dynamic range is too far apart. You can compress it again. Okay, this is a Mary. So we're going to amplify that. I'm going to amplify that by 5. I don't want it to actually reach 100%. Okay, that's going to take 10 seconds. And the goal for this is to make all the voices sound the same. I mentioned that the DM's going to be in the middle. So because they're in the middle, you want them at half volume. My DM, I know that she has a lot of dynamic range, so I'm going to compress her one more time before I'm done. Okay, now I know I have a lot of bass, so I'm actually only going to go 5 for my own voice, because see how uniform I am? I'm actually going to be... So this person ranges... Technically, I set them pretty close to 100%, but they're mostly at 80. I'm going to be basically at 100% every time. It's just my voice. That's my microphone. If you don't turn away from your microphone, it turns out that you can get a pretty consistent sound. So one thing about recording sound is keep that microphone in the place where you turn your head, and don't turn away. Now this person, we're going to amplify. Honestly, I'll go 6.5 on this person because he has more bass. So he will sound louder than a 6.5. Okay, and then we are done amplifying. We're going to align the tracks, truncate silence, set these people to a left and right, and reduce the DM. I'm going to compress her one more time because you can see she's got a huge range here. So I'm going to what we could do is, if this was completely uniform, simply reduce it by 50% by effect amplify negative value. So you can do a negative value here, and a negative around 0.5, a negative 5 decibels will reduce it quite a lot, down from here to like here. Anyway, but because this person has such a big range, I'm going to compress it instead, which will still reduce these tallest peaks down to 0.5, but won't reduce these medium peaks. Okay, so we've got the voices. Now we're going to do alignment. So how do we do alignment? Well, in a podcast, we always do a sign-off where we say goodbye one at a time. So I'm going to zoom to selection, which is this tool here, and then I'm going to try to align these goodbyes. Now, already it looks like they're kind of aligned. Let's see if I can just, whoop. Okay, Control-Z. I didn't mean to drag them all. Click off with this I-beam. Use this dragging tool to drag them around. There we go. Okay, so they're already mostly aligned. I'm going to use this I-beam tool. When you click here in this green, if the quick play is enabled, it'll just play. So
joining us this time was Runt.
Hello. Bonjour.
Kane.
Okay, so Kane, which is this person, needs to be over here.
This time was Runt.
Hello.
Kane.
Bonjour.
Amiri.
And Mary needs to be a little bit over.
Amiri.
I will see you guys in just a minute for you guys.
And Pidge.
And then I need to be a little bit over.
And Pidge.
Ja mata. Yep. Can you do it? That's my own voice. Okay, so now I've aligned the tracks and I've discovered a problem. So do you guys see all this? This is probably the DM's voice being picked up by the microphone that this player Runt is using because their earbuds are leaking in. So that's horrible and disgusting and wrong. All right, so let me show you what that sounds like. I'll put this person on solo. That's them moving their microphone around. Great. And that is their voice.
Yay!
Okay. And do you hear that? I hate that sound. That's the worst, because what you hear is this like weird echo.
Sort of gives a grandiose
Hear the echo?
arm gesture to the dark corridor. And he sort of gives a grandiose arm gesture to the dark.
Yeah, so that's terrible, and I hate it. And what I used to do was just zoom out to about here, where I can see in between. Now I know that that is a chair, so I'm going to delete that. That's Control L again. And I used to just go in between and delete like that to that, Control L, but ain't nobody got time for that, because this is a whole track, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to spend my life doing that. I want to get... now, I'm saying that and then I'm doing it. I mean, it's not that bad. It's going to bother me. So what I'd rather do is select a region where it occurs. Like this region here. Nope, that won't work. All right, hold on. Just undo silence, undo silence, undo silence. Okay, pick this horrible region over here. Okay, so this one, where I know that none of the other sounds are snipping or clicking or chairs or anything like that. This is genuinely her voice being picked up by his speakers, right? So I'm going to Effect, Noise Reduction, Get Noise Profile. And I mentioned that you don't want to ever adjust the one, right? This setting, Frequency Smoothing Bands. So this is one of the situations when you do, because I hate that sound. I hate that background sound. Now it is only, let's pick up how many decibels it is. So let's see. It is only 30. How? How did you do that? Why did you do that to me? Okay. All right. Not everybody's going to record great audio. So it's got to be at least 30. Darn, I was hoping it'd be like 10 or something. Okay. So let's play this voice.
We should start that band we've been talking about.
We should start that band we've been talking about. So let's Noise Reduction, Frequency Smoothing Bands of 7, Sensitivity of like 3, and freaking 30, because it has to be. And let's preview.
We should start that band we've been talking about.
So you can see it sounds mostly normal, but it's reducing a lot of weird stuff from the background. So let me show you what happens if I set it on this, which I'm pretty sure is also her talking, or someone talking, being picked up by his microphone. So Effect, Noise Reduction, freaking 30. Do you hear that? This is the residue channel is removing all of that weird talking stuff. Not enough, though. Okay, so let's see how much we can get away with. Effect, Noise Reduction, all of it.
We should start that band we've been talking about.
That sounds mostly normal. But you see, we are reducing a lot of his voice. I can hear that there. So, I mean, it sounds mostly normal, and we're going to go with that.
We should start that band.
we should start that band we've been talking about. So 41, 5.5, and 8 is safe for the whole track. Let's do it and see how much these annoying, horrible, awful things go away. So noise reduction, 41. I totally forget 6 and 8. Let's do it. And let's see, and it's going to take a minute. Let's see if we can get rid of these things. And if it doesn't, then I can undo it and go in and Control L every space in between when he talked. Man, I can't believe it. Oh well, I'll talk to him about that. So how do you actually solve this problem? And why does no one else have this problem? It's because it's all about your earphones. If you're using earbuds, it leaks sound around your head, and the microphone is set to pick up sound around your head. So it's picking up his earbuds because they're shitty earbuds. What you need is a round ear headphones that go like with a cushion thing all the way around your ear, like in a complete circle. And they're like $7 on Amazon. Again, recording this in the year 2020. So $7 2020 money. They're cheap. That's like the price of a expensive cheeseburger at a drive-thru place. So let's see how much it reduced. Oh, it looks so pretty. It's like I Control L'd, but I didn't. So, that's lovely. All right, so let me show you what I just did. Instead of having to Control L everything that ever bothered me, basically, apart from some weird, I bet that was like a chair squeak or something. This is probably laughter or something. I don't know, but it got rid of mostly everything here. So we've got whole regions that are entirely flat. Okay, and it probably didn't affect his voice too much.
All right. I'm going to hit the one that doesn't look very good.
Yeah, it didn't all that much. So let's just see what chair squeak this is. He smacked the microphone. Okay, so, yep, that's some microphone smacks. You gotta talk to your players. Don't smack the microphone, players. Thank you. Okay, that's him talking. Oh, okay, so I'm gonna control. Make sure that this isn't anything important. No, it's dice. And that, also dice. Okay, so as long as they give you good audio, it should mostly be good. What is that little horrible thing? Some kind of paper smack. And that? I don't even know. I don't know what that is. Ugly. Okay. What is this?
Yep.
Okay, that's talking. That's fine. Okay, so we mostly got... Oh, God, why? Why? What is all this? Desk. It's desk. Alright. Here's my point. You could probably be a perfectionist and spend your whole life doing this. But no, ain't nobody got time for this. You're watching a YouTube video. It's probably like an hour long, aren't you? Don't tell me. You can't, but... Yeah, it's probably already long enough. Just to sound process the video, or the podcast, before we even get started on anything. Anyway, so, and is what I say to that. Good enough. Make sure these line up.
Joining us this time was Runt.
Hello.
Okay, so we think we have the tracks aligned. If you have an internal check, use it. So I do have an internal check. I've got these introduction things here. I'm just going to make sure that they align.
An A.
Remind everyone to give a short description of...
Hello.
Okay. No, you can just say...
Hello. I am a 7'2".
Okay. Testing.
Today we are joined by Runt.
Hello. I am a 7'2". Ow.
Yeah, that worked. What is that?
Well, I'm sorry.
Laughter. You're level in class.
Levels.
Okay.
An A.
This should line up.
I am Kane.
I'm Miri.
Hi, I'm Amiri. I am a level 7.
And Pidge.
Hello, I'm a rock gnome train. All right, so the tracks are all lined up. That's good. If they weren't lined up, what I'm about to do would not work. So
Level monk.
they do seem to be
Run.
lined up. Okay.
Hello.
So now that the tracks are all lined up, you know that all the people are talking like relative to one another. So we're going to zoom all. And this part is my this is one of my favorite parts. Right now, this track is 130, 135, 140, 145. So it's between 140 and 145. It's about 143, or 1 hour and 43 minutes, which is pretty close to 2 hours. Now we're going to save it. And remember, all the tracks are very loud right now. That's important. And we're going to truncate silence. Favorite button ever. So this is my setting for truncate silence. Threshold minus 30 decibels. Duration, don't do 0.5. 0.5 sounds really weird. It's like everybody's Gilmore Girls. Have you ever seen the show Gilmore Girls, where they're like rapid fire talking, where they've already thought up their answer even though the other person isn't done talking yet, and then the next person talks, and then the next person talks, and it's like back and forth and back and forth. That's what it sounds like if your duration is too too short here. So I go with 0.8 seconds because it doesn't sound like Gilmore Girls. So we're going to go 0.8 seconds. Oh, only a minute. Oh, I love my new computer. This used to take like 10 minutes on my old computer. I got a new one. It's really nice. It's state of the art as of 3 years ago. Anyway, so with 0.8 seconds, what we should maintain is a normal human back and forth time distance from one another, where a person hears the person that they listen to, thinks about their answer, and responds. But we've eliminated all of these awkward long pauses where a person just like waits and then because people are polite, hopefully they should be, and they should like look around and see if anybody else wants to talk before they talk. But in a podcast, that sounds really long pauses, boring. It's not. It's a good thing. I like that. It's better than when people talk over one another. I'll show you how to remove that. That's also bad. But at least they were polite, and I knew it was going to be 2 minutes. Jerk. Okay. So truncating silences will probably, my bet is remove this down to like 135. It should chop off a good 5 minutes of just awkward pauses. And it might not, but you'll know you've done something wrong if it cuts it to like an hour, because that's impossible. That's not going to happen. We're going to lose maybe 5 minutes here, and if the tracks are misaligned and someone's not able, like there's a gap where someone would be talking, so right here where someone's talking, and there's a gap here and a gap here, if this person gets shifted over, that gap looks like silence to the computer and it truncates it, but it's really where this person would have talked. So if you misalign your tracks, it's going to truncate it by 50% or so, and you'll know immediately that you did something wrong. But I think we aligned it pretty well, so it should work out. Oh, it's going to take 3 minutes. I guess you guys are learning about Audacity. You said 1 minute when you started Audacity. Yeah, I know you. Okay. It actually takes 3 minutes. So, as I make clicking sounds for all of you sound editors, this is what it takes to edit a 5-person podcast, about an hour of your time per track. And it helps to have it going in the background. If you're watching TV while you're doing this, it's not a big deal if you've got something else going on. But if you were just editing your podcast, like, as your only activity, at least I'm recording a video. It's fine. So, actual editing suggestions are compress, truncate silence, all that stuff. Side note, it's good to have a second thing that you're doing at the same time, because you just are going to wait on a computer. And if you have a track that's longer than 2 hours, it's going to take even longer. It's going to be like, I used to wait 10 minutes every time this happened, and it's just so long. So have a second thing you're doing. Okay, so let's review what we did so far. We imported in our voice tracks. Ooh, it's going to go. Ooh, I'm going to get like 10 minutes off. It's updating the display right now. It has done its work. It just needs to update the display. So here's where it was. I'll just leave that. Wow, that's so nice. Ooh, we were so polite this time. So we lost 5, so it was from here, 5, 10, almost 15 whole minutes from the length of the podcast from just awkward pauses. Okay, and now we are almost done. We have only one more step, and that is to assign who's talking. And that, I'm going to put the DM in the middle. And since the DM is in the middle, I do not want her to be super loud. She's going to be in both ears, so it's just naturally louder. So we're going to compress her one more time. Again, I chose compress instead of amplify -5 because that's going to take these peaks down to 50% while not changing these peaks. I might also remove clicks on the DM's track because if a click is present, it won't get compressed. Compressor doesn't really handle clicks very well. And then we're going to set, oh no, it looks beautiful. No clicks. That might be a click. No click. Yeah, looks beautiful. Okay. And that'll be fine. Okay. And now this one, again, we're going to do left. And then also get out a piece of paper and write down, because you got 2 tracks, right? So I want to make sure the people are on the same side. So Kane and Mary are on the left. Okay. Perfect. I wrote that down. Okay. Kane and Mary are on the left. We're going to do, again, 70% because if they only have one earbud working, we want 30% of the sound to still come out in their working earbud so that they can hear them even if their speakers or earbuds are broken. Okay, and now what we have is a track that should mostly work, right? Right.
Well, you can, but it hurts.
Poor Marv.
And DM
I'm
warning,
not sure
I probably can't.
Firebreathingkittenspodcast.com.